Welcome back. I'm your host, Eddie Muller, back again at the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland, California. Did April seem like the longest month of your life? It sure felt that way to me. And am I ever happy to be back in the saddle, to mix up my genres. Today, Noir Alley returns with a bang, an undisputed masterwork from one of cinema's great magicians, a movie often considered to be the final film noir of the classic era. From 1958, it's Touch of Evil, rewritten by, co-starring, and spectacularly directed by Orson Welles. Although volumes have been written about this movie, the story of its creation deserves repeating. It's a lesson in how greatness often happens by accident in this business. The legacy of this film, in fact, its very existence, is due to one man, Charlton Heston, which is kind of hard to swallow because, in my heart of hearts, I wish he wasn't in it. But Heston was at the peak of his career in the late 1950s, between the massive success of 1957's The Ten Commandments and what would be his Oscar-winning performance in 1959's Ben-Hur. Every producer in town wanted to snag him for a project, including Albert Zugsmith, a contract producer at Universal. Among the many projects he pitched to Heston was a crime potboiler called Badge of Evil, based on a novel by Whit Masterson, the pseudonym of San Diego-based writing partners Robert Wade and Bill Miller. Screenwriter Paul Monash had adapted it for the screen, and Zugsmith had already lined up Orson Welles to portray the film's villain, a corrupt border town police captain. At this point, Welles's chance of ever directing another Hollywood film were zero. His reputation for overly ambitious ideas and profligate spending had made him a pariah in the business he'd revolutionized in 1941 with Citizen Kane. In 1957, Welles was only in Hollywood to score some acting paychecks before resuming his erratic filmmaking career in Europe. Well, Heston jumped at Zugsmith's offer because he mistakenly thought Welles would also be directing the movie. Zugsmith had to think fast in order to land the hottest actor in town, so he made Welles an offer he couldn't refuse. He could direct, but he'd have to do it for no money. Welles, who always had great affinity for pulpy genre fiction, swallowed his pride and agreed. He was only paid to act in this movie, not to direct it. And although he brought the finished film in on time and on budget, Welles, as was his way, turned what was supposed to be a low-budget crime thriller into a spectacular cinematic circus, filled with stunning high-wire acts. An extraordinary cadre of the director's friends and colleagues were assembled for what he knew might be his last gopher baroque grab at the controls of what he called the greatest train set a boy could play with. Welles's most dramatic revision to the script was switching the ethnicity of the main character, who in the original story is a white assistant DA named Mike Holt. So if you've got an issue with Charlton Heston wearing heavy makeup to portray a Mexican, blame Welles, or give him credit. He knew the story would have far more impact if it was an incorruptible Mexican cop squaring off against Welles's corrupt police captain. The cop's beautiful Hispanic bride, Consuelo, became Janet Leigh. Welles felt the interracial angle added heat to the story, and he never shied away from being provocative. While it would have been perfection to see Ricardo Montalban in the role of Miguel Vargas, that film was never going to get made. Like I said, no Heston, no film. Now, while there are many extraordinary contributors to this movie, two rate special mention. Russell Meddy's camera work is the stuff of legend. Welles was calling for camera stunts no sane director would even attempt on such a small budget, and Meddy nailed it all, flawlessly. We are showing the restored version today, so no titles will obscure the brilliance of this film's exhilarating opening shot. Adding immensely to the film's impact is the music of Henry Mancini, a propulsive mix of Afro-Cuban and percussive Latin rhythms that still seems ahead of its time. and have fun spotting all the actors who took cameos so they could be part of the Orson Welles traveling circus and medicine show. Joseph Cotten, Marlene Dietrich, Zsa Zsa Gabor and her sister Ava, Ray Collins, Dennis Weaver, Mercedes McCambridge, not to mention crucial supporting players, Akim Tamarov and Joseph Kalea. All of it topped off by what might be the best performance of Welles's career. When filmmakers talk about a production capturing lightning in a bottle, this is what they mean. From 1958, here is the last feature film Orson Welles would make with studio money, Touch of Evil.